Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's our weekend roundup as we check in with all our teams and see how they got on over the course of the weekend. I'm Stephen Brown. With me is Chris Bell. Chris, how are we doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. Not too bad at all. I've just realised, by the way, in the however long we've been doing this, that's the first time I've ever heard that much of that song.
Yes, I know. It's a good excuse now, isn't it, to hear a bit more of that classic tune. We normally just get the start and the end. So yeah, a little shout out to Cascade there with Stomp. So check that one out. That's been a bit of a hallmark of the show for a while, hasn't it, Chris?
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning, mate. The good old years. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we've got loads to chat about on the show tonight. We've got postponements, we've got comeback wins, we've got so much to go. We're going to get all the guys on in a minute. Please pop a like if you're watching us on YouTube, and if you're listening on Spotify later, please do leave us a rating and review. And you can subscribe on YouTube and Spotify for more content on all our teams across West Yorkshire. Let's bring the guys in. So join us. We've got Jay, we've got Steve, we've got Lewis, and we've also got Gaz as well. Good evening, gents. Well, we're going to start and kick things off in League Two with the non-game. Bradford City, they were supposed to be playing Barrow, but the game got postponed. Gaz, you made the trip. You got there. You were just telling us at 1:30, and at 2:00 you found it was called off. A ridiculous decision. I mean, what are your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, just really, really bizarre, really. I got picked up. My mate comes from Barnsley, so he picked me up en route. So it was like a 3-hour drive for him. Picked me up en route, got there. We got in the pub about 1:30, and like you're refreshing Twitter, you're waiting for sort of the team news to come through or whatever. And yes, Jamie Rayner put something about the referee ain't happy with the pitch. He's cracking flags outside. It was really sunny. Could not believe it. And and he just had a really bad feeling from that moment on. Simon Parker put the same. And then they were just like, the referee's really not happy. He keeps going back and looking at this area of the pitch. And apparently, just an area of the goal mouth at the Holker Street end that he weren't happy with. And called it off at 2. It seemed to be that he was the only one there who thought that it should be called off, because I believe that Barrow have put in a complaint to the FA, so they're not happy with it being called off. They obviously thought it was fine. I think Bradford thought it was fine. The press that were there, like I said, Simon Parker, Jamie Rayner, they seemed to think it looked all right. But the one guy whose opinion mattered thought that it should be off. But it's just bizarre. It was like 2:00, an hour before kickoff, when it finally got postponed. And just too late, really. But when you've made that journey, but I believe the referee had stayed there overnight the night before, so he could have even gone and looked earlier if he'd wanted to. But obviously, if Barrow didn't think there was an issue, they weren't going to call him in any earlier. But he'll have all his expenses paid for, but us poor souls won't. So it'll just be a case of whether we go use the tickets to go to the rearranged game or get our money back from the club. Just really, really disappointing.
Yeah, a bit of a shocker, isn't it? I'm used to seeing angry tweets from Bradford City fans, but not for that particular reason. In terms of City not playing, obviously they had a game in hand. Obviously, they've not played, so some other teams have caught them up now in terms of games played. But City not in too bad of a position really at the end of that. I mean, they're down to 15th, and the gap to the playoffs is about 5 points, but it's still not a bad position considering where you were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, a lot better than we were a few weeks ago. We were 2 points off the playoffs before the games on Saturday. A few results went against us. Crawley won at Accrington. You'd have kind of been hoping for a draw there because they're both sort of in that little group with us. And Gillingham beat Wrexham, I think. And obviously you would have been hoping that Wrexham had 10 points off Gillingham. A bit disappointing. But I believe that now we've all played a similar amount of games, whereas previously we had teams had games in hand on against us. So it's a 5-point gap. We've got a few tough games coming up, or should I say games that we could make use of, really, because we've got Notts County on Saturday, and then we've got Accrington the following Saturday. So they're both, like I say, in that group with us. We have Doncaster in between on the Tuesday night. So we just need to keep winning, really. We've gone 3-game winning run in the league. Obviously, we lost in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, but we're mightily unfortunate, in my opinion, to lose that game. We did everything but beat Wycombe, really. We deserve to win that. So we just need to pick up where we left off when the break ends. We're back, like I say, at it on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, they're not Notts County won. I mean, they're just a couple positions above you. Not on the best form. Lost 4 out of the last 5, so it presents a bit of an opportunity, like you say, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they've not been the same, I don't think, since Mr. Williams left and went over to Swansea. They seem to, the wheels have come off a little bit. When we played them earlier in the season, that was Graham Alexander's second game, and they absolutely destroyed us in the first 45 minutes at Meadow, and they were 4-0 up at half-time. And it was sort of half-time in that game when something happened and Alexander changed the formation, and we went to something that's worked for us ever since, really, barring that little run around Christmas. And we could have got a draw out of that game, despite being 4-0 down at half-time. We lost 4-2. So, yeah, if they're on a bad run, we're on a good run. Hopefully we can get a result there, and then we'll be even closer to those playoff positions.
Yeah, obviously I don't want to dwell on this too long for you, but just some comments on the Wickham game from last week. Obviously, we've not spoken to you since. We do record on a Monday. I mean, it was just devastating, wasn't it? Because played so well and absolutely deserved to go through, but somehow they managed not to do it.
Yeah, it was literally the most typical smash and grab that you could possibly see in football. I don't know how many of you watched it, but anyone that watched it has said the same to me, that literally we battered him, absolutely battered him. The keeper's had the game of his life. One of the saves he made in the second half from a Tyler Smith's header is just an absolute worldie of a save. How he's got that round the post, I don't know. I can't remember what he's called, but I believe they got him from Motherwell. He's sounds Polish, like a Polish sounding name, but I've never heard of him before. But I'll remember that performance for a while because he was brilliant. My mate's an Accrington fan and said they had him on loan a few years ago at Accrington and he didn't do out there. Well, they blooming did on last Wednesday night, didn't he? Because he was fantastic. So, yeah, just really disappointing. Fortunately, like, you think yourself, lucky really. I know we go through ups and downs as football supporters and we're probably in a down at the moment, but I've been going to City since sort of 93, 94, and I've seen us at Wembley, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So it would have been my 5th time at Wembley. Not many people can say that for as a supporter of a lower league club. So it would have been nice to go for a 5th time, and obviously it would have given us a even bigger boost for the rest of the league season. But it wasn't to be. So let's just focus on the league now.
Yeah, absolutely. As Ryan says, watch the City game on Sky. Very unfortunate indeed. Now, Gaz, before we let you go, we do know that you've got a bit of an allegiance to a team a little bit higher up in the football pyramid. That is Liverpool. Carabao Cup winners. A dramatic game, to say the least. Very memorable. Not so much the game, but the commentary for Mr. Neville. What was it? Billion pound bottlers or bottle jobs. And Klopp's kids have won it for you. Just remarkable, really.
Yeah. My first reaction when Neville said that was to laugh. But when you actually think about it afterwards, he's saying that out of anger. He wanted Liverpool to lose that game. That was an angry comment, that, because he wanted Chelsea to win. But yeah, remarkable, really, the amount of injuries they've got at the moment. It's just, I know everybody gets injuries, but I think they had 11 players missing on yesterday, and then they've lost Gravenberch in the first half, and apparently Endo left the game on crutches as well. So yeah, just remarkable, really. It just shows what I think, what a brilliant manager Klopp is. These young kids have just come in and look like they've been playing there for years, didn't they? What was remarkable to me was how Chelsea just sat back in extra time, because from about the 70th minute, I just saw Jamie Carragher talking about it on Sky. From about the 70th minute to the 90th minute, they were only 1 team in it. They looked like they were going to score and win the game, and something happened at the end of the game and before it went into extra time, and they just sat back. And the more they sat back, the young lads grew in confidence. And if Klopp's just said to them, go out there and enjoy yourself and play your game, they certainly did that. And yeah, hopefully that bodes well for their future careers, getting a trophy at such a young age.
Yeah. What do you think for the rest of the season with Liverpool? Do you expect 1, 2 more trophies potentially?
I'm normally quite pessimistic. Yeah, I'm normally quite pessimistic at best of times, but I honestly believe that as big a challenge to Liverpool as Man City and Arsenal are, the biggest challenge they've got at the moment is all these missing players. Because when you get to a stage where, I don't know how many games is there left, 11 or 12, something like that. Liverpool and City have been there so many times before. City just churn results out, and in the past, Liverpool have matched them for churning results out, and obviously lost the league by a point on a couple of occasions. So you would imagine that if they had a fully fit squad, they might be able to do that and the top of the league at the moment, and they might finish top of the league. But with all the injuries, you just don't know. I don't know what sort of team they'll put out tomorrow against Southampton. Sorry, on Wednesday against Southampton, probably under 7s because under 16s and happened. So, but yeah, we'll just see what happens, and hopefully they see Klopp off in good style come the end of the season, because I'm in bits at him leaving.
There's a bit of extra spice in there with Klopp leaving. The second that I heard that Klopp were leaving, I thought, this is Liverpool's title to lose now. I thought it straight away.
Yeah, I think it would be. Like I say, if they had a fully fit squad, I think it really would be. What's going to cost them as much as, like I say, Arsenal. The thing is with Liverpool, they could have put Arsenal out of the race, couldn't they? A few weeks ago, they lost at the Emirates, and I think if Liverpool had won that game, that would have been Arsenal done for in the title race. But now they're only 2 points behind, so it's a 3-horse race. And I do think if they get all the players back, they'll have a decent chance. But whether that'll happen anytime soon, I don't know.
I know you said about Neville and saying it like it was out of anger, but he was correct, really, when you think about it. When I watched the full game and I couldn't believe how relaxed Chelsea were in the last part of the main, the full 90 minutes, and then in particular that first half of extra time, because Liverpool just looked absolutely shocked. So I don't really understand what happened tactically for Pochettino, to be honest. Like, the players just looked knackered.
It's a real strange one, isn't it? Like I said, they were. I just thought it was their game for the taking when Liverpool started taking the players off and bringing the young ones on. But whatever happened at full time, I don't know. Like you say, his tactics have got to be called into question. It's put his opinion a bit, doesn't he, Pochettino? I know there's been a bit of group chat about it and what you lads think of him, and I don't know.
I thought at Spurs he did an unbelievable job. At Southampton he were great as well, but I think he's getting away with it at Chelsea. I think the amount of scrutiny he's not had is kind of unbelievable, really. I don't get it. I think he gets a bit of a free pass, to be honest.
But he did bottle it at Spurs as well. Should have won the league, and he sort of bottled the Champions League against Liverpool when they were there. I'm not saying Liverpool didn't deserve to win it, but they didn't really show up, did the Spurs, to be fair.
I think Poch is on the back of the Graham Potter situation, isn't it? I think he gets more length because Potter got none.
Yes.
And I think that's now biding him a bit of time, because if they just bin him and get somebody else, they're in exactly the same position when they bin Potter. So I think that's what's happening, personally.
They've got to stick with somebody, haven't they, for more than a 6-8 month period sort of thing. And it may as well be something that's got the calibre and the experience that Poch has. Still think kind of given time they'll come good, but it's just taking time.
Do you think they'll come good? Do you think they'll come good at some point?
I mean, I'm talking like 2-3 years down the line. Like, they might pick up like a League Cup or something between now and then. But I'm talking.
Is that? And I get that, but is that enough with all the millions and millions of spent? Is a League Cup in nowadays a good enough return for spending that money and the quality of players? Because I know the age thing's being brought up today in the press and stuff, where Chelsea are supposedly younger, starting and finishing that game against Liverpool, but the quality of players, man for man, especially in that extra time, were better than Liverpool's.
This is the thing, though. Were they?
Because they are on paper.
They should be.
I think Chris makes a good point.
I would love Mudryk to come good, but ultimately, it's not his fault that it was just short of 80 million spent on him as a bit of a shotgun signing in January of last year. And he still looks very raw. There's still a lot of youth in that Chelsea side. I think the fact that, as you say, the fact that actually Chelsea have the younger average age is somehow been completely missed, by the way, with all the hype about how Klopp's kids won it, when actually Chelsea had a much younger squad overall. But it's one of those, given time, because everyone that they have signed is with the exception of possibly Disasi, who's 25, I think everybody else is under the age of 22. And to throw together a bunch of kids, crikey, Lou, how many times have we said about having you? Different level, I appreciate. But if you've got a young squad without experienced leaders, and obviously Chelsea are missing Thiago Silva as the pinnacle of the experience there, that people can look lost. I think this is what I think time is the key thing for Chelsea. I remember when Potter got the job, I said to you at the time, Steve, that I thought Potter was going to be the man that would get the time. I didn't see the point in bringing Potter in and taking 11 of the backroom staff, including the technical director, to bin him off. Little did I see that coming. But I think now with Poch, you've got to give him time. You've got to give this squad time.
You look at that team.
I know what you mean. I'm not convinced by him at all. And I think they've got such a long way to go to match the likes of Liverpool. I know they might look a little bit different under Klopp, but they've still got that pulling power. Arsenal and Man City, they've got a long way to go to get that. And I think even you have to look at what's happening at Man United as well. They could quite easily pull away from the likes of Chelsea as well. I get it, but I'm just not. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm a little bit concerned if I'm one of them.
If I'm Todd Bowley, I'd be on the phone and getting Avram Grant back. That's what
The thing
Avram Grant, remember him?
When it comes to recruitment, the only thing that creates the kind of value around the player is the price that a team is prepared to pay for him. And that is what is making this Chelsea team look so great, if you like. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some talented players within that team, but there is also some huge waste of money within that squad too. I mean, Mudryk is a great example. I mean, the value that they've put on him, that doesn't make him a 70-80 million pound player. It's just simply the fact that Chelsea were prepared to pay that. He's a 25 million pound player at best.
Yeah,
so,
still potential, isn't he? Really? Let's be honest.
But remember how close he was very close to going to Arsenal. And I bet if he'd have ended up under Arteta, we'd have seen a different player, or certainly a much better player than we're seeing at the minute.
He'd have come into, though, a much more stable dressing room for a start.
Yeah,
a much
it would.
more stable hierarchy from top to bottom. Couldn't think of it. It's one of those. I mean, I'm just baffled that Steve Downs has pulled out the Avram Grant comment, and I will guarantee that is not the most ridiculous thing he says for the rest of the night.
Chris calling you out, Steve. Come on, Chris.
I've seen our group WhatsApp over the last few days, and even I'm this close to muting it. It is intolerable already, and you've still got 4 days before your so-called derby.
Right.
Steve's lost for words.
Yeah, because like Jay's gone for you, and the first person you're calling out live on the podcast is me.
Have you lost your mind?
It was a joke, Chris. Sarcasm. There's a little word called sarcasm in the English language. Have a look. Get a thesaurus. You're a clever lad. Have a look what it means, the definition.
I don't think that'll help me, mate. You'll need a dictionary for the definition, not a thesaurus.
I mean, I know. Whoa, all right. I'm sorry. I forgot I speak English.
Oh, dear. We've gone already.
No, we've gone.
Right.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I'm viewing. Delete Chris from the podcast.
On Chelsea though, do you think, like, I think Jay made a good point there about the prices that they're paying for players, because they've spent all this money. When Bowley took over, wasn't part of the deal with Abramovich that they would spend so much money on over a certain period of time on the squad. And maybe that's part of it. They're spending all this money, but who would you take out of their team if you were like a Liverpool part of their team now? You're struggling, aren't you, to think anybody, despite all the money they've spent, any of their players get into any of those three teams?
Individually that I would take, not necessarily for the money they spent on them, but there are individually that I really rate in that Chelsea side.
He's putting them into the collective too, innit? Like, just because they're all individually really good players, or they could potentially all be really, really good players, it doesn't mean that they suit this kind of project that they've put together. You think about when Abramovich took over, he bought, like, they went with proven quality as well, didn't they? They mixed in Glenn Johnsons and Joe Coles and some of these in amongst, you know, Hernan Crespo, and some of them didn't work. But they still went and, Makalele, Veron, they purchased during that time. They put together a mixture of both. And what this is purely for the future. You're absolutely right. Like, Moises Caicedo, I think, is a great example of this. I think he's a terrific midfielder. And if it had gone into the Liverpool side, I think we'd have seen a completely different player. But you put him into this Chelsea side with the disorganisation, the lack of experience around him, and you're seeing a player that's getting caught out because he's not got the experience and the know-how to deal with being that main man yet.
Also, I mean, if you look at compared to Liverpool, you know, these kids coming through, I mean, how many youngsters have Chelsea got rid of? I mean, even Mason Mount, who was Mr. Chelsea, homegrown, everything like that, gone. You know, there's Tammy Abraham, we've seen Tomori, all these guys who, you know, they had some quality young players, and they've never stuck by any of them.
The recruitment there is just bizarre.
I've told this before, but I covered like an FA Youth Cup game. Bradford about 7 or 8 years ago now, between Man United's under-18s and Chelsea under-18s. It was played at Altrincham, and in the side for Chelsea was Tammy Abraham, Fikayo Tomori, Mason Mount all played. In the side for United was one Marcus Rashford amongst others, but Rashford in particular was bizarre, did nothing, and then literally 3 weeks later, who would have been Louis van Gaal pulled him into the first team, and the rest is history. But that Chelsea youth team have produced some great players over the years that have come through, and then in the end got nowhere at Chelsea. It's bizarre.
I'd just like to point out to our viewers that you are watching the West London football show. We are going to come on to about Iwobi scoring against Man United very soon. So I'll come back to Steve now for any updates about non-league clubs around West London.
It raises a bigger point to me. It raises a bigger point to me about, because they've all got like 8-year contracts, haven't they? They're all young. They're all young players. They've all got 8-year contracts. They're all on goodness knows how much money. How much hunger is there from these players when they're not surrounded by senior pros who've been there and done it and achieved?
I agree with that completely.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, these eight-year deals. I mean, I think Mudryk got one, didn't it? And he literally has. It doesn't even have to kick a ball again, and his career's boxed off. Like in terms of his earning potential, it's unbelievable. So no,
it's all done to circumvent financial fair play, isn't it? That's why they're doing it.
Yeah,
and that's why they changed the rules not that long ago to say the maximum they can do where you spread your transfer costs over the length of the contract. The maximum that you can do now is 5 years, because they changed that fairly swiftly after that transfer window. But Chelsea went a bit mental.
And rightly so.
I'm sure one of them got a 9-year deal.
Well, I've got a little bit of a tenuous link to get it back to our West Yorkshire roots, but Chelsea versus Leeds FA Cup on Wednesday. What do we think? Well, it's not tenuous.
It's not really tenuous, is it?
Yeah.
Fair play.
I'll let other people go on that before you come to the Leeds
what's
side
predictions for that? Chelsea Leeds. Do you think Chelsea will be reeling a bit after that, or do you think this is a good time for Leeds to get them?
I think judging by your injury list today, I think, and what's come out from Farker, I think the priority is still the league. I think if you'd have had a full strength team and you probably didn't have much to go for in the league, I actually would have fancied your chances, to be honest. But I think it'd be much of a change squad for you guys. I think Chelsea will probably win quite comfortably, maybe like a 2-0 maybe. But it's a shame, because it would have been interesting to see what reaction they'd have got against a fully strength Leeds side who are absolutely full of confidence. And I think what would have even been more interesting is if it had been at Ellen Road as well, because I actually think if you had been at Ellen Road, I think you'd have probably been equal 50-50 really. Flip a coin and guess who wins.
To me, it's how Chelsea react as well. They can go one or two ways after that yesterday, can't they? They can either sulk and think, well, what everybody says, we're bottle jobs and all this, or they stand up and they put the next chest out and they fight, and it'll be interesting to see. But on the face of it, after yesterday, you've got to say Leeds have a good chance. I haven't seen about the injuries that you've mentioned, Lou, but on the face of it, I'd say they do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with what Lou says. If it had been at Ellen Road, it's a different story entirely. But and with the injuries, I just can't see past a Chelsea win. But we've seen various results in the FA Cup down the years, so why not just have a go at them? You got nothing to lose.
Winning away at Stamford Bridge in the FA Cup isn't for everybody.
No, and to be fair, there we go. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just going to point out, though, this is only the second most important cup tie of the week for Leeds, because you're still in the FA Youth Cup as well. And you've got, ironically, in that one, Liverpool for that one. That is at Ellen Road, actually, on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see. Actually, Jason, are you getting to that game? Are you going to?
I've been asked to go and scout for it actually on Thursday night, but we've got the preview to do, and I've got work involved, so I'm a little bit like, can I really forsake going to Ellen Road? But we'll see. I ain't decided yet.
Please don't leave me with three of them.
I know. I mean, I'm there for you, mate. Cruel. I mean, one of them. We have to go through review every Monday, don't we? So
it's the same feeling for me, Jay. By the way. So
as for Wednesday, I think I couldn't agree with more with what Lou said really, and I think the two big ones are Cree and Gio. If them two are out, I think it kind of gives Chelsea a bit of a free pass on the day, because they are the two that are going to really hurt them, and they're the two that are going to really get at them and really fancy themselves to be able to, get them up, get at them and get one over on them, really. So I tend to agree. Like, I was pretty confident in the run up. Chelsea have hit a bit of form recently up until Sunday that they've looked a little bit better. So it started to kind of waver a little bit, but I agree with Lou. If we'd have had a fully fit team and it had been at Ellen Road, I'd really fancied us chances. We can still go there and cause an upset, but I would probably have to say Chelsea will just edge it, I think.
Yeah, I was quite looking forward to it until I heard Farke's press conference, to be honest, and that all those players were going to be out. And plus, you've got such a short turnaround to the Huddersfield game, which is going to be absolutely huge.
Games are just coming so thick and fast, aren't they?
I know, tiredness is a big concern, to be honest.
Yeah,
because we've done okay with injuries, really, generally, but if they start to pile up, it could cause us a few issues. Well, let's move it on then. Let's
concern before you carry on. If you get a referee like our Mr. Nagels on Saturday, who just decides to call the game off an hour before kickoff, that's a concern for anybody going to a game these days. How can there be a non-league game on next door? For goodness knows what tier level it was, and the bloody League 2 games off. And they even trained on the pitch. I should have said that earlier. Barrow trained on the pitch. The pitch. I think they were having a little dig at the referee there, and they even offered Bradford the chance to train on it as well. There were little snippets coming out on Twitter from all the press and Bradford's account and Barrow's account having sly digs at the referee, and it's just.
I think Barrow's original post saying that it had been postponed was very much like the referee has decided this, we want the game to go ahead kind of attitude. Fair play to him.
Yeah. I just wanted to get that in there about him training on the pitch and the non-league game going on next door. I should have mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, no, fair enough. We'll see if anything comes of. I don't know what they expect to happen, get an apology or what, but see what happens there. Thank you for that, Gaz. Moving on then to Leeds United. Jason, we did our review yesterday, a couple of days after the game. 3-1 win against Leicester. It was the top of the table clash. Obviously, our group chat was going wild at the time as well. Steve's had enough. He's off. He's back. Hello. It was an interesting game, to say the least. Leeds under the cosh like we've not seen pretty much for the entire season, but you saw it come alive, certainly when we got the equaliser, and then Archie Gray making it 2-1. Just really glad to get through it, aren't we, really, Jason? Pick up the 3 points.
Yeah, it was a very, very different game to anything that we've seen the rest of the season, really. It was a standout kind of game in terms of the way that the match went, and the result in itself, the chances. I mean, we've not given up that many chances for the rest of 2024. Genuinely, the amount of chances that Leicester had eclipsed everything that we've kind of given up to the opposition for the rest of this calendar year. But I don't think we started the game particularly well. I thought Leicester were on top for the first 15, 20 minutes. They get the goal. And then for the rest of the first half, I thought we did enough to kind of bring ourselves back into it. Nonto should level. I don't know what he's doing. I can't. I've watched it back so many times. I can't for the life of me understand why he brings it back into his weaker left foot into a crowd of players when he had a free shot at goal. It's a bizarre moment. Somerville had a half chance when he gets away from Hamza Chowdhury. We had another couple of moments. Pirro should probably at least get both on target, should score one of the 2 chances that he had, I would say. The header was probably harder than I think most people would think, but the chance that he had before that, you'd expect him to do better. So, and then into the second half, I mean, how they didn't really wrap up the game is, that's where the questions would be kind of asked. But the fact is, they didn't. Meslier kept us in the game with a massive save, and then the changes changed the game. I wanted Farke to make them 5 or 10 minutes earlier, but he makes them when he makes them, and they changed the game. Connor Roberts comes on, scores, changed that whole dynamic down that right hand side. Archie goes over to the left, which I couldn't understand at the time, but it worked perfectly. He ends up scoring and gets us the balance of the game right. Thurpo had a bit of a stinker, and it showed us up. Pat comes on, makes a difference, as he always does. He changes the way that defenders have to play against him. He stretches teams. He moves players around. He gets the goal. And, I mean, some will say that that's lucky. I would say it's Pat being quite instinctive. I think that's the way that he plays, he throws his legs at stuff, and it was quite smart. DJ comes on, causes problems, scores or assists the Pat goal. And overall, I think we just deserved it. I do. I've gone back and forward with thinking, was it a fair result? And I think it was. We made the most of our chances. We got the shots away. We made the most of the squad, and we stayed in the game when we were up against it, and we come out with a massive 3 points.
It was nice to get one over Moresco as well, wasn't it? Who pre-match claimed that this was just another game for them and a big game for Leeds United, and a little bit of a warning to people associated with clubs if they want to kind of wind up Leeds. It's not necessarily the way to go because it can come back to bite you.
He's gone there. I mean, for me, Leeds or not, it was a very silly thing to do. I think he's quite insufferable, Moresco. I think it's similar to the situation with Martin and his reaction to coming on the pitch, and we've seen it with Michael Beale a couple of weeks ago. It just didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Logically, if they lose that game, they're 6 points away and they're 7 points away from third. It's a massive game for them. Everybody could see it was a massive game for them. On the back of losing to Middlesbrough, it's a huge game. And to just be like, it's not a big game for us, it's a big game for them. It's just flannel, innit? It's just complete and utter flannel.
Well, I said this to you though before. The way Farker is composed, he's clearly someone who's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. Whereas you're looking at Russell Martin and Moresco, are they losing their heads a little bit here?
I definitely think there's a bit of pressure involved. Yeah, I definitely think. I made this point the other day on the review that after the West Brom Preston games, it'd have been very easy for Daniel Farker to flap and panic. We back-to-back losses over Christmas. We obviously weren't really in the hunt for top two at the time. If you remember back, I think we were 11, 12 points behind, maybe even a little bit further. And we'd kind of all ruled out getting automatic promotion. But Daniel Farker is just let's go into the next game. Don't panic. Let's look at the table at the end of the season. And he stayed true to everything that he said. And he's been absolutely right. 9 straight wins, resulting us now actually owning second place. And meanwhile, Southampton have been, flapping all over the place. They've been dropping points and, quite consistently now. And Leicester have now lost back-to-back games. And, neither of Moresco and Martin look like they're really keeping their heads. The only other manager you could argue that is, and I mentioned this on the review, is Kieran McKenna. 5-6 games ago, everybody was ruling Ipswich out. That were it. They were done. And they're not going to keep pace. They've had their blip. That's it. 1 win in 9 or whatever it was. And they've come back with 4 straight wins. And that's impressive. It shows a level of maturity and real talent as a manager and a man manager in Kieran McKenna. And considering the squad that he's doing it with, I mean, let's not get into the parachute payments conversation again, because I made my point pretty clear on that the other day. But he is doing it with an overinflated League One team, or a middle of the road Championship team, whatever you want to kind of call it. He's doing a hell of a job. So it's impressive. But for me, it's not the way to act and conduct yourself. It only shows that it's affecting you, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Let's move on then to our West Yorkshire rivals, our noisy neighbours, Huddersfield
Welcome,
Town.
Lou.
Steve, a cracking win for Huddersfield Town against Watford, a comeback win. 2 finishes from Danny Ward. I love the second one, by the way. Fantastic finish there. And Andre Brighton-Writer is off the mark, isn't he?
Yes, a superb victory for us. It was, a decent game, really. Quite end-to-end at one stage, and Watford tried to have a go, but they've got a terrible home record. So it's, I was hopeful of a possible victory, but not, overconfident by any stage of the imagination. And, they took the lead. Bit disappointing with Spencer, getting beat like that. But he's a young fullback. He'll have to learn when he's coming up against quality players of that nature. And he made up for it for the rest of the game. But certainly for that beginning, that sort of 20 seconds of that goal, it wasn't great. And when they scored, I was very deflated, really, because I thought we were the better team, to be honest, throughout the game. Yes, they had a couple of chances, but overall, I thought we controlled it really well, to be honest. And then when we scored with Danny Ward, all the momentum just changed and swung in our favour, and Watford just looked a bit like we don't know what to do now. Nichols made a couple of great saves, but apart from that, I just thought we were superb, and then we deserved to score the winner. We deserved to win that game, and Vicarage Road has been a happy hunting ground for us for a good few years now, really.
Yeah. What did you make of any kind of tactical impression from Brighton Writer? Anything that kind of stood out straight away for you?
Yeah, so we had a bit more up and at 'em go about us in terms of the gegenpressing style. Going off the back of what Worthy did, really, it was, we went looking for Watford. We pushed on their centre backs, particularly, who were, big bruising centre backs, but I wouldn't say that they're classy on the ball by any imagination. And so we pressed them high. The midfield was energetic and got around their midfield well, and there was various runners off the ball, which was nice to see. Fullbacks pushed high, and the centre backs, made sure that they did the jobs properly. So, tactically, it was quite an astute performance, really, from us, and built on the fantastic work that Worthy has recently done. Obviously, his ideas will take a little while more to develop, but you could definitely see a certain gegenpressing type style there for sure, and what he wanted to see. And what I just loved was his manner on the touchline. He didn't stand there like he was a scarecrow in the middle of a field in Norwich. He actually had some movement, some passion, some energy on the touchline, giving players instructions, telling them where to be, how to act, what to do, controlling the game from that standpoint. And yeah, I was impressed by him. And he went over at the end and celebrated with the fans, and that's how it should be. You should be proud of your team when you give a performance like that. And he made subs at the right time, brought Danny Ward on. Brought on Edwards as well, which was a bit of a surprise, but he created the second goal for Ward to score. So you have to say his substitutions were perfect too.
Yeah, and just hearing him post-match as well, just the way he carries himself, the way he talks, you can hear that enthusiasm, can't you? He's kind of, I don't want to make it out like a stereotype, but the German managers are very persuasive, aren't they? They're strong characters. Klopp, Farke, they're all very kind of determined, and I guess kind of the polar opposite to what you were used to hearing from Darren Moore, bless him, who didn't really seem to inspire much at Huddersfield.
No, and he was proud of the team. He was proud of the lads that he put up out on the pitch, and was proud of the supporters and the fans that went down to Vicarage Road to watch their team. And you could tell that it was a big moment for him. He's achieved something now, winning a game in English football in the second division. I think that was a big standpoint that he wanted to achieve. And it just carries on the good sort of vibes, really, going into what is a massive game, obviously, on Saturday. Getting the win takes slightly more pressure off Saturday's fixture, in my opinion. And, it really, getting a win against a team like Watford helps in those other fixtures that are further down the line, which, obviously it's very tight at the bottom. So if you can pick up 3 points against a not very active and free-flowing Watford side, then all the better, really.
Now, one person who was very excited, and deservedly so, was the owner of Huddersfield Town, Mr. Kevin Nagel, Chris as well. He sent out an interesting tweet Saturday evening that got tongues flapping, shall we say. Let's have a look. I've kind of edited it down. Kevin Nagel, this was just a section of the tweet. We'll notice there, now on to next week in a huge match versus Leeds, with the Leeds asterisk out. And then basically all chaos broke loose on Twitter. Steve,
our WhatsApp group between you three. Jesus, what?
Well, I'm gonna. But Kevin, just if you're watching, you're probably not. But if you are, I backed you up, mate. Just you continue what you're doing. These two muppets at the top of your screen, they don't know what they're on about.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, Kevin, if you're watching, it's an embarrassment. You're the
It's
owner.
not, Jay.
You're the
Jay,
owner of a football
Jay,
club.
you've been fished.
Don't give me this fish.
You've been caught hook, line, and sinker, put in the basket and put in the fryer and served on fish and chips at Morecambe, mate. You might as well be battered.
Like, no, come at us with something that actually means something. But this is
What does it mean?
It's
All he's stating, Jay, all he's stating is that we're playing you next week. He's not said that Leeds are crap. He's not said that Leeds are
I'd rather him
an
go down that
absolutely
route.
abominable football club that Ellen Road should be, been to the history of time, which it should be because it's a disgrace of the stadium.
Twitter user, like putting asterisks in between Leeds. Oh, Leeds! Like, I can't say the word. Like, come on, grow up.
Can
man.
I just say,
Like,
everybody, like the people that are watching, I'm the
not
adult in the room, and these two are just so childish that they think that.
Your owner's childish. Leeds asterisks.
What?
Like, give over.
Jay, why are you so wound up, mate? I don't.
With your mum's childish at this rate. I mean,
Yeah, we're bringing mum jokes in next. Like, come on.
My owner's bigger than your owner. My definitely beat your owner up.
Right. Obviously, all the lads have seen the WhatsApp group, which has been very quiet this week. But and it will continue to be quiet because I'm not going to comment at all within it until we get to Thursday. But Gaz, can I just ask you, as a very neutral fan, and Lou as well, and I'll ask you in a minute, Chris. Gaz, was it embarrassing? Is it or is he just stating the fact that we're playing Leeds next week?
It was tongue in cheek, wasn't it? It's tongue in cheek, and it's done to make people chuckle and to appeal towards the Huddersfield fans. And shall we say, I don't know, not ingratiate, but to build a bit of a bond between himself and the Huddersfield fans.
Thank you, guys.
I don't think
I said that.
I don't think it should be looked at as any more than that.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. I love City. City are a brilliant football club.
I said the same, though. I said the same in my defence. And at the end of the day, he's playing to the crowd, which Huddersfield Town fans, immature teenagers, clearly. So,
Lou, give your opinion.
I agree with Gaz. I think it's a good idea to put bums on seats, if I'm being honest as well. I think it's quite a clever tweet, but I also think as an owner of a football club, I'm sitting on the fence and it hurts. I think as the owner of a football club, I don't think it's the best thing to go and do. Because,
right, Lou, you've let yourself down there. I was just about to say Bradford Park Avenue with a great football club, but you just let yourself down. Chris, what do you think?
To be fair, I'm fully with Gaz on this. I genuinely looked at
Yes, Chris. Up the ends.
It's there to wind a few Leeds fans up, and it's there to kind of get Huddersfield, town fans kind of behind him. But the amount of nibbles and bites, and I don't just mean from Jay and Brownie, I mean just from like Leeds fans on social media full stop, has been absolutely insane.
It's super, Chris.
I can imagine, and let's be honest, we all know that Kevin, to his credit, he is not one to mince his words when it comes to his social media posts regarding the club, and that's the way he's done it since he took over.
When it all starts crumbling down, Kevin Nagels starts digging town fans out on Twitter, right? You'll be, get out of our club. Like, Jay, you shouldn't be commenting on Twitter. Like, no, I'm not.
Wait, Leeds loudmouth. Shut up a minute. Right, Chris, continue.
I just think that he could certainly have said things a lot. He could have come with something a lot worse than that, ultimately, or more embarrassing. To be fair, you say that, Jay. Like, if you remember earlier on, town fans were having a bit of a pop at Kevin.
Exactly.
To him, he responded as he kind of saw fit and dealt with it. And hey ho, look where they are now. But
I want to say,
bit tongue in cheek and taken blown out of all proportion. That's how I'm going to leave it with blown out of proportion.
All I want to say, Chris, is that when Jesus fed the 5,000 with fish. Kevin's fed all the fish and chip shops in West Yorkshire with Leeds fans. It's brilliant. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Just
Go on, Jay, keep
why stir it up at all when you're playing a team that's second in the league and won the last 9 games? Why would you give them extra motivation?
Steve, it's a win-win for me. We're not really bothered.
No,
Do you
I'm
know
not
what I
buying
mean?
this.
It's like-
No, it's a well little.
No, I'm not having that
Don't
myself.
matter if we lose and all this. No,
I'm not having that myself, even as an
Right.
outsider. That's not true.
Why is it? Why is that not true, Lou? I'll explain my reasoning. Win-win for us, right? We lose. Even if we get battered 17-0, right? It's embarrassing, but we should be losing to second in the league who haven't lost a game in 10 matches or whatever and play some of the most outstanding football we've ever seen in the second division. With a team that we've got, we should be losing. If we draw and we get a point, absolutely amazing. And if we win, it will be brilliant. But so I don't understand how Town can lose in this situation.
Nah, I'm not being funny. Like, no Town fan is going to accept the defeat on Friday night. It's not going to happen.
You can't win out of this, Downsy. No, but Downsy, you can't win out of this because if you lose out of this, Downsy, despite it being Leeds or whatever, you can't afford to lose games in the position that you're in. And Leeds can't either. But this is my explanation to us guys, and I understand. I completely get what you're trying to say, but there's too many clubs in and around you, the same situation as you, where you've got to pick up points to get out of relegation zone. Yeah. And this incident that's happened could massively backfire because if Huddersfield do get battered and do go down, there's only going to be one team that's laughing at that, and it is going to be the likes of Leeds, because if they got promoted, that's what's going to happen. And I get if you listen. Whoa, hang on. If Huddersfield win, it's a great win, and it's exactly what you need at the moment, and so the Leeds need to win. But if you lose, you still lost. That isn't a win situation. If you lose, you've lost.
Steve, I expect to lose.
Let me just say, Steve,
I expect to lose.
So that's the problem. You shouldn't be expecting to lose, should you? This is a difference between the both clubs. Because
it's second in the league. We've got one of them.
No, I get what you're saying, but this is a difference in it between the clubs of where they are at the moment. You shouldn't be expecting to lose. You should be going out to compete against the team and hoping to get that result. But I wouldn't be going into that going, oh, we should be losing this game.
No, but I expected to lose to Southampton, and we nearly beat them.
I said this on the review the other day, Steve, right? That genuinely, I think that the biggest opportunity that Town have in this game is through fatigue and through complacency. Yeah. And one of the things that you could use is complacency, which I think Kevin Nagels taken away with this. I genuinely think he's not, Jay. No, in the tunnel the other day, you saw Ethan Ampadu, massive game. That won it, lads, in response to the Moresco comment pre-game. So I'm telling you, if them little inches that make the difference, the lads are going to be sharper for Nagels' comments than if he didn't do it. No, but
it's Leicester, Jay.
It's 3 points.
Yeah, but you're playing top of the league.
Hang on, Steve. It's the old thing, though, of like all it takes is for somebody to print that out, stick it up on the dressing room. Look what the Huddersfield Town owners said about us. You can't even say the word Leeds.
They won't do that, Chris. They don't even know how to print paper out.
That's
honestly, know how to do that.
To be fair, I've just seen that comment from Craig, and he's right. Yeah, the season won't be defined by that result, but it can go a long way to defining how your season goes. It's not defining it, but it can go a long way to it.
Lou, I agree, but I agree like 10% of what you're saying, but 90% I disagree, because what we won it on Saturday against Watford, right? That 3 points is bigger than if we lose on Saturday against second in the league and we get beat. As long as we don't get beat 10-0, we got beat 4-0 at Ellen Road. I expected to lose. I know what you're saying, that you shouldn't go into a game expecting to lose, but with the squad we have and the squad they have, the form they're in and the form, yes, I know we're sort of in better form now, but when we went up the season in 2016 and we played Leeds, I thought we should be at least on par with this Leeds side, and we were, because we beat them. But we're not this season, and that's just realism. You won't go into a game against Man City and think, do you know what, you would expect to lose that game, wouldn't you?
I get what you're saying, Dante, but you're not in a position to be losing points. Unfortunately, that's just a situation you're in at the moment. You can't be affording to lose points and pick your games. You've got to get every single point you possibly can absolutely scrap for. And that game against Leeds, albeit Leeds are in the form we're in, is actually a game where, you use that cliche, is actually the form, but can probably go out the window a tiny bit because it is a bit of a derby and you are at home. So actually, to be fair, if I'm Huddersfield, if I get a point, I'm happy with that. But I don't think you can go in there saying it's a win-win if you win or lose. I just don't get that. I don't get it.
Well, put it this way, Lou. Put it this way. When we come to the review show next week, and say if Leeds have won, Jay will be absolutely gloating, be happy bunny and everything. I'm not going to be sat here absolutely depressed and sinking my teeth into 7 bottles of whiskey because do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like that. But if we win, I can tell you for sure that Jay's going to blame it on the referee, the weather, some sort of flood that's happened. That's
this guy, honestly.
Do you know what I mean? An invasion by giraffes or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Jay will be blaming it on everything else but the entire football fixture. I 100%
I actually think
to everybody watching and listening to this podcast tonight, by the way, this is not rehearsed. It's exactly what's been happening since Saturday evening, everybody.
I think Saturday.
Your track record.
I think it's tricky. I think it's dead tricky.
It's already strong enough. So God knows what'll happen if you lose. The poor referee will get in the neck before you're kicked out.
Listen, I just say it as a team when it comes to referees, whether it's a Leeds game or not. I mean, the amount of poor officiating we're seeing recently, we were talking about it yesterday in a game that was completely neutral for all of us, apart from
Can I just say
that team guys,
the key question for me is when we clip this up, do we tag Kevin in it?
No, we stop. Steve,
he follows us actually, doesn't he? I think he actually follows us on Twitter. So there's a good chance he might see this.
We've got a really good relationship with Kevin Nagel. So unless you're going to find us a way into getting interviews with the 49ers owners,
sure.
It could happen. Jay works for them.
Yeah, maybe one day, mate. Maybe one day I'll get Parag on.
Steve, you've been baited massively by Kevin. I have to say that. I expected better from you, to be honest.
Do you know what? I actually think it's a bit more of a 50-50 game than you think. I really do. I think that actually,
I do.
With the amount of games we've played, the fact that we've got a midweek game against Chelsea, I think we're a little less sure of it than we would have been, say, if it had happened last month or something. So I think it's a bit. I think we've got more of a chance than you possibly think.
I agree.
I don't know why you're so defeatist.
You guys are in a bit of form as well. You've got a new manager. You pulled out a great result last week. It's a massive game for you guys. And the facts are at the John Smiths, the atmosphere will be cracking for that game. It will. And I said this to Brownie the other day. If you guys go in front early, it's a hard day for us. And anything can happen in a game of football. We could be down to 10 men after 5 minutes. The whole picture changes. So I think it's a tricky game. Sure, we'll make us favourites, but I don't think it's we're big favourites going into that.
But the difference is I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic, and I just know that we will be up for it because Andre will definitely make us up for it. And I just think you put in way too much emphasis on this tweet from Kevin.
That's my phrase, that Steve. I always used to say that, not negative, just realistic.
Oh, it is true, isn't it, Gaz? We're cut from the same cloth, you see.
And I think, my point at the start was that he's done that to as tongue in cheek to sort of align himself with the Huddersfield fans. Do you think that he's done it thinking it will have any effect on the game on Saturday? I don't think Kevin Nagel thinks tweeting that is going to have any effect on Leeds or any effect on Huddersfield Town.
I would say that makes him naive.
But I was just about to say, but whether he's right or not, I don't know. You guys are now arguing between yourselves about whether it is going to have an effect on the game or not.
No, I think
it won't, and Jay's saying it will.
Gaz, what I think they're amazed at is the amount of Leeds fans that they've got baited by it. Definitely his PR guy, Carmichael Dave's absolutely loving it. It's just
he's got nuts with it, hasn't he?
Yeah, because
the thing is, I'm not baited by it. I'm more laughing at it. I think it's just really immature. He's a business. He's a massive he's a football club owner. Like, he's just nuts. Like, imagine Sir Jim Radcliffe, Leeds, asterisk. Like, it's just nuts.
To be fair,
Jay, so if you, sorry, Chris,
did you not see like Jim Ratcliffe's announcement statement released by Old Trafford, conveniently in the colours of Qatar, and obviously the other party that were investing or wanting to invest in United was that Qatari organisation, wasn't it? So even Jim Ratcliffe is stuck a little ways of digging at people.
And Radcliffe also said, I was going to say when you said he wouldn't put that about Leeds, I don't think what Radcliffe did do was say he'd like to knock City and Liverpool off their effing perch again.
Yeah.
And you know what? I prefer that. I think that's fair enough.
Jay, your head's going to pop off on Saturday if we win. Genuinely, I just think you'll be like...
Only because it's another 3 points, mate. We just need the 3 points. That's all I care about.
No, that's not what I mean. If you lose that game, your head's going to explode out.
But it's like losing to Rotherham or Sheffield Wednesday. Like,
no, it's not, Jay. No, it's not.
It
really isn't.
It's like losing to Rotherham. Remember how I was the day that we drew with Rotherham, right? When we all went out, right? I was fuming. We dropped 2 points that day. It's exactly the same as that.
No, it's not, Jay. No, it's not.
I'm not having this because
it's not having it, Jay.
This is the first time though, because I'm going to assume that you don't have too many kind of close friends. I'm not sure how you rate Steve, but you know, close people in your life that are Huddersfield fans.
Somebody's met.
Because we've been doing this as long as we have, but it is going to mean that little bit more because it's Steve. In the same way that because Steve's now so close, obviously, to you and Brownie, it's going to matter more if Town can get one over you.
Well, there's only another 2 Town fans, isn't there, that are in this chat right now. So I'm not met them two.
Yeah, but Chris, that just shows it, doesn't it? He wouldn't make a comment like that against Rotherham fans or Chef Wednesday.
No,
fans.
they've only got one.
He's already got. I like that, Jay. I like that.
No, joking aside, I used to work in Elland, so I did used to work with a lot of Town fans, and I get that. Like going into office and you'd be bumping shoulders with them every time the game were on. So that stokes up the importance because of the football bragging rights. I get that. But in terms of the grand picture of this game, I will be no more irritated if we lose this game than if we lost to a team towards one. I promise you I wouldn't. I promise you.
Yeah, I'm saying that now, but you're saying that now, but you will.
To be fair, Jay, you will be more irritated because
I'm going to
wind you up. Nothing like something shocking.
It's going to be forced on me, isn't it?
No, Chris, I won't do. I promise. Scouts honour.
Honestly, I can't wait for Friday night now. Like that group chat. I mean, what is it? Is it the 8 o'clock kickoff on Sky?
No, Saturday lunchtime.
Saturday lunch.
Oh, that's not you. I'm going to Emsfleet.
No,
you won't be able to join us for the post match, will you, Steve? You won't be able to jump on, will you? Because you'll be there, won't you, sir?
Yeah. Well, if you do it later.
No, we're not doing it later. You can do your own.
I think
he's going to be there. But Jay Browning, why aren't you going to be there?
Yeah, because exactly, Chris, 100%. That's just the bottle. They're basically what Neville said, right, about blue bottle jobs. These two are bottle jobs. That's what it is. Bottle job Leeds.
Why don't Jay and Brownie just find tickets to the game somehow, go to the game, and then just do something live afterwards together in the car park outside
100%.
That'd be great content.
Well, they won't do it. They won't do it, Chris, because they're not committed to their own club. You see,
I've been home and away enough times to hold my credibility.
It's like watching Mark Goldbridge with these two. That's what it is. He don't go to any games either.
Kevin should put tickets behind for those two guys. Just put L *** LDS times.
Hey, if he wants to give me some tickets to it, I'm happy to take that up.
That's what I'm trying for you, boys. I'm trying for you.
I like that. That would be good, wouldn't it? That'd be some good publicity.
Get Kevin at it on Twitter. Get him on Twitter.
We'll need police protection going in there, Jay. If we went, can you imagine?
No, honestly, I'm looking forward to Thursday's show, and I'm looking forward to the game. But I know you are.
I'm not.
You never do.
I'm not looking forward to this game.
You never do because it means too much to you, mate. And we get it. We understand
it means too much to you. That's why I don't enjoy it.
Mate. We understand your cup final feelings.
How do we get out of spiral and move on.
Right, Brownie started this about
Draw a
30
line. I
30
know we
minutes
just
ago.
have to draw a line.
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
we?
I think we should bring Lou in because he's got about 10 seconds to talk about how his glasses got smashed at Emley. Over to you, Lou.
Who
Yes,
said
Lou.
that? Can't see who said that.
Wait, you can't say that to a blind man. That's disgusting, that is. Kick him out. Kick him off the podcast now. Kick him off. Gaz, you're HR manager. Come on. Intervene here. Don't just sit there in silence, Gaz, and take it.
I'm just like, why am I sitting here listening to Leeds and Huddersfield fans arguing?
Can't turn off though, can you, guys? You can't.
I know, that's it.
You were meant to leave half an hour ago, and you're like,
I'm gonna have to go now.
Yeah, I like
Better
it.
do
Chris
it.
and Gaz, you were both meant to be off half an hour ago. What's going on?
I know.
Well,
See you later.
Chris loves
He's
the
off.
fight. Is Gaz actually off?
How I get a
Gaz
word in,
needs
I
his
can say
thing.
bye.
Speak,
Yeah,
Gaz.
See you
Cheers
soon,
for
Gaz.
coming.
Thanks,
See you
Gaz.
all. See you later.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Enjoy your Leeds fans fish and chips. Bye.
Right then, let's move on to some non-league action.
Right, and
we
the end
will,
of the show's now.
Yeah.
Cheers. See you later, everybody.
yeah, we will get round to your glasses incident, Lou. But Mr. Dave Foy, he's not on the show tonight. He's broke his streak because he was on, I think, pretty much nearly every episode of the roundup show we've been doing. Hopefully, Dave will be back next week. But we'll start with Halifax Town, another cracking win for the Shaman. Up against it, bit of a smash and grab, but a bit of a wonder goal that's gone and won the game for them, Lou.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's an absolute screamer, isn't it, Brownie? I think from
Phenomenal.
Oliver, it's a brilliant effort, isn't it?
Try and pull it
And
up,
it's fourth win in a row from as well, which is another big positive. And obviously, we've had the game recently postponed, which I think frustrated a few people. But to get 4 wins on the bounce after a bit of a tricky back end of Jan and Feb, beginning of Feb, have turned the form around, and from what was quite a down and out for about 3-4 weeks ago, discussing the Shea Stadium and everything that were going on with that. He seems to have, God bless, cheered up a little bit, hasn't he? So yeah, 4th win in a row. He said, when he were talking to us, and he wanted to make the point that they were made to work really hard for it. Like you said, I think a smash and grab really stuck at it, but that with Millington sides, they don't concede a lot. They might not score a lot, but they don't concede. And I know he talks about Jack Hunter a lot, doesn't he? Does Dave? About how integral he is to Halifax's success, and he came on late, and Sam Johnson had to make a couple of crucial saves. So yeah, you know what? Just outside the playoffs, and I said this even around Christmas time, just before we had that dip in form, we're in a not a bad position at all in Halifax, and with the odd signing out from Jack Jenkins, from obviously the guys at Leeds, just to kind of bolster the ranks a little bit, and results went away as well. There's a bit to be positive about, I think, down there at the Shea at the moment.
Yeah, like you say, it's such a big turnaround, isn't it? In just a few weeks, because like you say, poor old Davey was coming on every week, and it seemed like the problems were stacking up. But it has turned around nicely for them. But a tricky game next up against Bromley, but they're not on their best run of form, so another opportunity to extend that winning streak.
Yeah, absolutely. Just dropping down from second, I think, and goal difference out of it at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's one where Bromley have won 1 in 5 recently. And, there's clubs in and around that, 3rd, 4th, 5th spot. Gateshead are climbing, Solihull are solid. Aldershot have picked up a couple of decent victories as well. So it's not one I think Halifax can be scared of. I think, if I'm being honest, apart from Gateshead, I think they're pretty much a form team in the division, aren't we, at the moment, Shaman?
Yeah.
So, if they can go against Bromley in full of confidence, and let's be honest, in Downs' word, not expected to win, so why not go for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Shall we have a little look at the goal then? Because it is certainly worth sharing. Let's have a look. Here we go. Right, let's just get it from the start.
Great goal.
Oh,
There we go. Look at that.
Yeah, it's such a good effort, isn't it? And when you watch it back from the corner, I mean, there isn't much of a challenge there, is there? But defensive cleared it, but just to get his touchdown and just shimmy with his shoulder and kind of use that defender as that wall to kill it into the corner, and the keeper's got absolutely no chance at all to save that. it's a really clever goal. And, those are the best wins out of the away. When you're going down south like that, winning 1-0 with a wonder goal, you'll take that every day.
Yeah, indeed. Farsley Celtic, then a 0-0 draw with Kingsley. Not a classic by any stretch of the imagination, but back-to-back clean sheets for Celtic.
Yeah, probably a bit of a bar draw. But we said last week, didn't we, that the Celts have probably lost a few players. Ruddy Mizambu, Tom Allen out with suspension, and Isaac Asensio, who's a centre back as well. He kind of just left the pitch early in the first half, so we had to kind of a makeshift defence. We talked about Wadsworth going. Willumby's gone as well to Scunthorpe, so they've had about 4 or 5 players ripped out of that team. But to go to Kingsley, who are really battling against relegation, who still have an half-decent team on paper, to go all that way and to get a point again, it's a solid point for Farsley. Again, keep saying it, a few years ago, they could have quite easily gone there and got beat 3-4-0. Now they're disappointed to probably walk away 0-0. But by all accounts, there wasn't really much in it between both teams. I think Connor Branson had a header which hit the roof of the net in the second half, and that was probably the only real notable chance that they had. But it is a long way to go and see a 0-0, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad at all for Farsley. And I see that pattern probably emerging through the rest of the season, is where they'll just kind of be steady away, nothing spectacular, probably won't threaten playoffs. I don't think they're in any danger of going down either. So, yeah, I mean, for Farsley's perspective, it's just keep going, doing what they're doing, and probably Clayton's maybe have one eye just on next season of who he wants to keep, and maybe having a work in the background to get his squad ready for next season and see if he can go a little bit further.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to stir it up again, but Marky, I need to go to more non-league matches in Yorkshire. We will get a taste of it lunchtime Saturday. Marky's a Leeds fan, by the way. It's Rushall up next for Farsley. I guess they'll be going into this with a lot of faith that they can actually get 3 points, because Rushall down the bottom of the league.
Yeah, I think it's one that Farsley are probably looking at and going, yeah, we probably can get 3 points out of this for sure. If Rushall at the moment just dropping down, they haven't won in the last 5. Gloucester won at the weekend, Darlington won at the weekend, so it's really putting a lot of pressure on Rushall, who, let's be honest, under Liam McDonald have probably surpassed already some expectations of some people, despite being in the bottom 4 already. I think people had them down to go down and out as a bottom team, but they've picked up a few really good results. I think Farsley probably win it. I think they've probably just got a little bit too much, but again, it's that discussion that you guys were having earlier about Leeds. It's what squad have they got ready to play, because, like I say, the centre of the defence has kind of been ripped out a little bit. But I think Farsley probably just have just enough, I think, in midweek.
Yeah. Umar, quality show. Thank you for your comment, mate. Really appreciate that. If you watch along, please do smash a like on the video, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Dropping down a division then, Bradford Park Avenue, Lewis. That short, unbeaten streak of 3 games came to an abrupt end against Marine. Always going to be a tough ask, though, wasn't it?
Tough ask against, a really, really good, solid team in that MPL. They're one of my tips to kind of go up through the playoffs. I think at the beginning of the season, I just think they've got a lot about them. And I think, people who are listening and watching will just know Marine from the FA Cup, a tie against Tottenham. But actually what they've done since then is they've actually built the club and the community and the actual assets and the squad around that. They've invested really well in terms of the actual playing surface. It's changed being artificial. They've recruited so well. Neil Young, their manager, used to be at Chester, who absolutely steamrolled that division under Young quite a few years ago. And Marine are sitting really pretty in that league. And I still think they have a real big say in actually possibly going up out of that playoff system. They probably are going to have a real tough ask now with Macclesfield recruiting Michael Clegg as manager from Warrington Rylands, which I think is a really interesting appointment. A real change of direction, I think, for Macclesfield on that. But yeah, I mean, watching the highlights, Marine, the better team. Avenue did have a couple of chances. Eddie Miko should have done a lot better with at least 1 or 2 chances. Osadebi had a rebound that, he put wide when really should be putting it on target. So there was the odd bit of positive to come out of that game where, the chances were there. We've just got to be a lot more clinical against the top teams. And, without bringing it back up about Huddersfield, you can't afford to just keep losing games. And when you should be taking your chances, you've got to kind of put them away and make sure that, even if you are 2-0 down, 2-1 at half-time is a completely different game. Your team talk changes, gets Marine on the back foot a little bit. But straight out of half time, Marine scoring the first 2-3 minutes, 3-0, game's done, which is a real blow, I think, because, you know, the lads have been doing okay. They've been playing, you know, reasonably well, new style of play under Whittaker. But to lose 4-0 against Marine, even so, some people may not be surprised in terms of league positions. I think it will dent a little bit of confidence, and it's going to be an interesting reaction because Saturday's it's a classic 6-pointer on Saturday.
Yeah, a question here from Ian. Lou, is there a transfer deadline in the National League? How does that all work for those that don't know, Lou?
Yeah, I mean, like Chris knows, it's like it comes to March, doesn't it, really? We're kind of a registration deadline. Obviously, it differs in terms of loan signings and kind of a National League against the other leagues as well. But yeah, ideally, clubs need to get them in before the end of March. And that's obviously, you know, depending on if clubs want players who can put 7 days notice in, which is a little bit different from the pro level. So obviously the 7 days notice gets notified to the club. The club obviously have to decide whether that's workable for the player, for both parties, how that works out. But yeah, by the end of next month, really, the squads should be finalised, which really gives probably some teams maybe 3, 4, potentially 5 games away. Some games have been abandoned to actually decide where they're going to finish up in a league. So it's kind of an ongoing situation as we speak now, really. There'll be a lot of work going in the background for clubs to kind of meet that deadline before next month, but also getting ready for next season because in non-league where it's typical where a lot of players will probably follow a lot of other teammates that they may have played with, managers have played with. So they'll be probably just looking around in the background, if I'm being honest, to see where they'll be playing next season. And also at this level as well, National League is all full time pretty much, apart from maybe 1 or 2. National League North and South is about 5, 6, 7 teams who are full time. You only have to look at in the MPL Prem, where Macclesfield are full time as well. You know, Radcliffe are not, I don't believe, far off it. You know, Avenue have been going hybrid as well. So there's a lot of intricacies about it, but it's a massive time of the season. Just want to see him out for the end of the season, but actually, you know, putting pen on paper for the season after as well.
Yeah, and a huge game next for the Avi as well. Stafford Rangers, who sit 1 place behind them in the league table. A lot riding on that one, isn't there, Lou?
Huge. It's a huge game. Let's not pretend it's not, because it's massive for both teams. You know, Stafford have picked up a really, really good result against Guiseley, 2-1 at home, which I don't think many people would have expected at all. By all accounts, Guiseley just not necessarily didn't turn up, but just really struggled on the day. Sometimes you can have that. You know, on paper, they probably could have had enough and probably should have enough against Stafford to win, but it shows where Stafford are at the moment. Are fighting for their lives. Changed manager, got a few extra players in. Changing style a lot from what they were doing under Matty Hill. So I think it's a magnificent victory from him, and it sets them up for Saturday really well. It is a 6-pointer for both teams. I think it's going to, again, probably to the comment that Johnny made earlier, it doesn't define his season, but it goes a massive way for this game. Avenue have got some really tough fixtures coming up until the end of April, and this is one of the teams that we've got to face at home who's in and around them, and there's not many of them to come up. So for Avenue and Stafford, let's be honest, a draw's probably not even really good enough. I think only a win counts for both teams, which sounds quite dramatic and a bit serious, but I honestly think it's that important on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we discuss Guiseley as well, just want to give a shout out to Andrew Pinfield. He watched the Leeds game with a house full of Leeds United fans Saturday morning, 6:30 a.m, and it's now 7:30 in the morning for him. He's over in Adelaide. Are you going to be watching the Leeds United Huddersfield Town game though, Andrew? That's what we want to know. And who will you be supporting in that game? Actually, is the more pertinent question, I guess. Guiseley then, disappointing result. You've kind of talked a little bit about it there. Very scrappy game. Bit of discontent about the game as well that I was seeing kind of online from Guiseley fans, etc. I was kind of under the impression everything's been going pretty okay for Guiseley at the moment with Andy, but it seems as if there was quite a strong reaction to that game at the weekend.
Yeah, I was surprised by some of that. I know that, you know, Chris shared some of the comments that have been made as well. It surprised me. And sometimes I just don't know, always see what. I get the perspective to lose away at Stafford, who are down there towards the bottom's disappointing, but let's be honest, guys are going to be on a really good run of form, and they are well within a shout of getting in the playoffs. Yes, it's not always easy to take a defeat, and sometimes in the heat of the moment, it feels probably even more raw. But you've got possibly a game or two in hand on some teams. They're just 1 point off of playoffs, and sometimes you can have a bit of a bad day if you're in a bit of a dip. And actually, probably knowing Andy and Jason knows Andy probably better than me, and he might be able to comment that. Actually, that might be a bit of a blessing in disguise, where sometimes you just need the odd little bit of a hiccup sometimes just to kind of reset a little bit, or just put a bit of perspective of things, not to get too complacent. I don't know if there was complacency there. I wasn't there to comment. But, you know, for Andy now, that's quite an indicator of actually, you know, they've won, you know, number of games on the bounce. That was the fourth time they remain unchanged for the starting 11. Sometimes you've just got to have a little bit of a rocket just to kind of change things a little bit and just, you know, reset a little bit of targets. I don't think it's a bad thing for guys. I was surprised with some of their comments, and it wouldn't surprise me again if guys are gone another bit of a good run of form.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? Obviously, you've kind of followed the club closely as well. Would you kind of agree with what Lewis is saying there?
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? As you say, disappointing result. I think the frustration as well, obviously, is that when you're not necessarily playing your best, to equalise in the 85th minute, you think, right, we'll take a point out of this game, kind of head back with something, and then to go on and lose more minutes will certainly have hurt. And you would expect, obviously, the equalising so late that guys who were then with the team with the tails up, but that wasn't the case. Stafford responded well, apparently, and obviously got that late winner. As you say, you know, they've got Worksop next as well, who are one place above them in the table. They're at home, they're back at Nethermore. And look, if they can get the fans behind them, the crowd behind them at Nethermore on Saturday, a win over a side that are around them now, there's a fair chance that if results go their way, they could end Saturday in the playoff places. I mean, what do you reckon, Jay?
I think fans are just super fickle out there, and it's not just for Guiseley; it's for all clubs. They certainly, there's a section of all fan bases which it can be one bad result against the team that you expect to win, and all of a sudden you're calling for the manager's head, or you're not happy with this, or you're not happy with that, forgetting the weeks and weeks and weeks of hard work and things that have gone well before them. So I mean, I spoke to Andy briefly this morning. I didn't have much time with him, but it was upset about the refereeing. Put it mildly, which is a bit of a topic of I like in it. So and yeah, I think that they weren't right at it, were they? It just weren't their day. But I'm sure he'll dust himself down and be straight into the next game and expecting to win at the weekend.
It's a massive, and there's a few extra massive fixtures. I mean, that one against Worksop this weekend is huge. It's a big fixture for, again, playoff race. You've got Macclesfield against Marine as well, which is a massive game. So there's some really important games starting to come up, and, you know, it sounds really easy for us to say this, but the closer we're getting to the end of the season, some of these games are becoming massive. Like you said, Chris, if guys go and beat Worksop, that what happens on Saturday, to your point, Jay, is forgotten about, isn't it? It's really just kind of put to bed. If you lose 5-0, then people go, oh, well, that's kind of a knock-on effect from Saturday. Well, actually, you know what? It probably isn't. It's just, they've just got to take each game as it comes, and it does sound really boring and a media trained thing to say, but I do expect guys to really bounce back from that, and what better way than to do it than to possibly get in the playoffs on Saturday? There's no better way than to do that.
They've got a bit of a weird run coming up, because obviously after playing Worksop, who are just above them on Saturday, they've got, I think, away at Atherton Collieries in midweek, and then this is a pretty, to be honest, fearsome back-to-back. You've then got Radcliffe at home, who are back to being runaway league leaders. Although that said, guys did win at Radcliffe a couple of weeks or so ago, but then they've also then got Felton Marine. If they're lucky, they'll finally get the away game at Whitby on, which I think is about his third or fourth rearrangement. That's still to come in recent weeks. And then you get a run of home games against the likes of Ilkeston, Lancaster, and Warrington Ranners to kind of take you into April. So it's going to be a big month, this match, actually. It's one of those. Get the right results against those sides around them, and they could be well and truly like securing a playoff place. But it's always one of those. You can't. It's easy to say that, isn't it? If you kind of go through that run and don't necessarily pick up the results, then people are going to look at it and think, well, we kind of bottled that effort for the playoffs. But, at least they're not billion-pound players, eh?
It's make or break in it, March, for Guiseley. Top and bottom of it, it's make or break. Those fixtures are coming up. If Guiseley lose all them fixtures, they don't stand a chance of the playoffs, even before they get to some of their own fixtures. But if they kind of pick up, 3 to 6 points out of them, they're well within a chance. And they're good enough to do it. There's no doubt about they've got the quality there.
Now, Lewis, I was going to say, did anything else catch your eye in non-league this weekend? But
good. Very good.
I'm not sure if that's the right choice of words. Tell us where you were. You were at the Emily-Barton game, weren't you? And what happened? Anything of note, Lewis?
Yeah. No, not really, guys. Just Emily won 3-1 and that was it. Pretty simple game. No, no, I went to watch Emily, to be fair. Just because they're on a good run of form. We talk about them a fair bit, and I've never been to Emily, if I'm being honest. I've seen them away a lot. And for some reason, never been to the ground. So I went along to have a watch at them. First half, the blitz Barton Town. And I mean, 3-0 could have easily been about 5-6. They were unbelievably dominant. And then second half, we probably took the foot off the gas. Barton did get like a consolation goal out of nowhere. And then, the moment arrived where I was lent on the wall, having a cup of coffee, just enjoying my Saturday afternoon. Nothing happening in the game. Emily striker, Ruben Jerome, I will name drop him, decided out of frustration to, rather than just leave a ball, decided to smash the ball towards the wall, instead missing the wall and smacking me right flush in the face.
Wow.
Glasses went flying. And it took me by surprise, if I'm being honest. I was a bit bit dazed. And then, to be fair, he came straight up, even during game, and he just said, I'm really sorry, you all right? I went, yeah, fine, no problem. Crack on, it's no worries. I heard even like a comment, even from their keeper, was like, I can't believe you've done that. You're hitting your own fans, a bit random. Came out of nowhere. And then, so then Ruben got substituted, I think, a few minutes later, not probably judge on that shot. And to be fair, a really classy gesture from him. He came straight up to me after being subbed, still in his kit, and just said, look, I'll swap numbers, I'll replace it, I'll do what needs to be done. I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And me being me, and I just went, it's fine, mate. It's frustration, gets better of you. Next time you might want to hit the target rather than hitting me flash in the face. And so he's actually said, next time I go down to give him a shout, and they'll help show us around, probably like what they did with Downsy and Dave as well, and just have a bit of a good chat with it down there. But I must say, the guys at Emily were magnificent, a really good setup down there. And I know Steve has talked about it before, but it was really nice to see it firsthand. I say see very ironically, because I couldn't for the last 5-10 minutes.
How did you drive home?
Luckily, I had a spare pair in my car. Honestly, it's such luck. It's so lucky that I did. But yeah, I'm a really good, well-drilled team. Players in there who were more than capable of playing probably a league or two higher, and will probably win that league, and deservedly so on what I've seen. We've got some really good, tasty fixtures coming up for those who are around the area as well. Campion are coming up shortly as well. I think they've got Garforth as well.
They've got Garforth,
so they've got some really good ties coming up. And honestly, I'm not just saying it because of like what they did on Saturday, but there's some real good teams in that league and some real tasty fixtures coming out there. So, and I know a few of us have talked about going down. So if anybody wants to join us, just give us a shout, because it's well worth going to watch some of them.
Ian, did you spill your coffee though, Lou?
I don't know, Ian. I couldn't see.
They are a classy club, and the chairman Andrew and obviously the rest of the team down there are good people, good honest people, family run club, and obviously we're glad that you're all right, Lou. But it wasn't good of Jerome to hit you in the face, but it was good that he checked with you afterwards. So
that's the big question.
Yeah, we just answered it.
Chris hasn't been watching for the last 10 minutes.
He's on Football Manager.
I was looking at some of the fixtures for the Northern Counties East League coming up, and you're right.
Lovely stuff. Anything else from the world of non-league then, Lewis, that we need to know before we part?
To be fair, we've probably covered a fair bit of it. Like I say, we in terms of kind of where we are in the Northern Premier League East as well. It is looking really tight at the top. Tomorrow night, the West Riding County Cup takes place. If anybody's around Ponty have got Campion, which should be a good game as well. And Ponty is still in the playoffs, but hanging on a little bit in the moment. There's a couple of teams with a game or two in hand. But there's probably about 7 or 8 teams who are fighting for those 2 final playoff spots. And also, I think Ossett have probably just got enough. Ossett are playing Liverpool tomorrow night, which I'll be going to. So if anybody wants to go, I know Mar there as well. The Marley Derby, as I like to call it. Route 1 Rovers are playing Steeton at Marley on Saturday. It's the final one of the season, and having met the guys down at Route 1, myself and Chris, we're hoping to get a few people down there on Saturday and really build on what is an excellent season. So, yeah, you know what? There's mixed results this week, but there's some local ones coming up tomorrow and Wednesday. So if people can get out and about, definitely support your local team.
Bit of a derby, that, Lou, isn't it? Ossett Liverpool.
Yeah, a little bit. It'd be an interesting game, to be honest. I'm definitely going to go down and have a watch as well. For those who are familiar with people around, Paddy Miller as well. In Liverpool's dugout, there's John Deese used to manage Avenue. Ryan Tolson used to play. Jack Stockdale, former City Academy lad as well. So there's some good household names that people will know of. Very good, Andrew. There you go. Yeah.
I think Joe Scars has popped up over there as well, hasn't he? I saw him there.
Left Golka. And that's one actually, to be fair, should probably call out as well. I went to watch Golka on Tuesday night. We talk about pitches, and I know he's gone now as Gaz, but I sent you guys a picture of what the pitch was like at Golka. I have that was lucky to be on. There's from the dugouts, from the tunnel down to the pitch, it's almost like a hill where the guys have to walk down. And there was no grass, it was just mud, and I've never seen people just slide down. But Golka, again, another team, if you're in that Huddersfield area, what a team they are up front. They are clinical. They are a joy to watch going forward. And if they hadn't had such a poor start to that season, Golka could have definitely been within a shout of going for the playoffs. Talking of the playoffs, I know Ian just made that comment. Fackley are riding a 5-0 victory over Knaresborough is a really good result. We said it for the past however long. Watched Fackley a lot pre-season. Me and Chris went to 3 games. They were a million miles away from being competitive. Didn't see them at all being anywhere close to the playoffs. But likes of Tom Greaves and Danny Forrest have got a really, really good setup going on there. And we're hoping that they can join us at some point as well to talk. Eccles will beat Silsden, which is a big result as well, 2-1 at the weekend. A really good result. And that surprised a few as well. So, you know what? We do cover them, Ian, and we do get down there to go and watch them. I think Chris is hoping to try and get to watch them soon as well.
Yeah, Eccles over at home on Wednesday night against Hallam.
So that's
what I'm trying to put your arm into as well, Lou, to be fair. So if anyone's free on Wednesday night, Eccles Hill United are at home. Don't look like that. Just tell them it's fine.
Yeah, I might struggle for that one. She's just coming upstairs now. Just cut that one, Chris. Yeah. Healthy non-league scene, definitely chaps. But like I said, if you've got nothing to do Tuesday, Wednesday, or on Saturday, go and support your team because they really do appreciate it. They really do.
Yeah, I've got lots to do Saturday. It's unfortunate though, but yeah.
Bit busy, aren't we? Mark, great show, lads. Have to crack on with some paperwork. Hopefully I can join you again more often. Yes, please make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, please do, Mark.
Definitely. I want to thank everyone for getting the comments in this evening. If you've not liked the video already, please do. And if you're watching this again later, get your comments in. Lots of lively debate on tonight's show, certainly. So interested to see what people made of that. Myself and Jason, we will be back post Chelsea for our match review of that game, and then we'll be back on Thursday as well. It's for the Huddersfield Town. I know, busy week. Huddersfield Town versus Leeds United match preview. We're going to have a couple of extra Town fans on as well, aren't we, Steve? So it's going to be fun and games, is that one?
Yeah. Callum and Zach are going to join us and take you lads on. See how we get on.
It's going to be fireworks, isn't it? It's going to be extraterrestrial TV.
If I don't,
I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi off.
If I don't end up at Ellen's Road on Thursday night, I might just join on and come on the stream just to referee the damn thing.
Not
Chris,
a bad idea. Actually.
Chris, don't do that because Jay will complain about your refereeing skills. Mate.
Oh, lovely.
This
And on that note, I want to thank everyone who's been on the show: Chris, Jason, Lewis, Steve, and also Gaz earlier on. I've been Stephen Brown, and we'll catch you again later in the week. Thanks for watching.